Welcome, everyone, to the Olsen Angle. Today, we're joined here with Notre Dame commit Tyson Ford. Tyson, this is a segment where we bring on young recruits and athletes and kind of get to learn a little bit about what's underneath the helmet and who you are as a person. As an ex-player, I felt like people who watch the games at home on Saturday really don't get to know the people underneath the mask and who you are as a person. And I wanted to bring you on to kind of talk a little about your game, a little bit about Notre Dame football, and who you are as a person, Tyson. Thanks so much for joining me. How are you today?
I'm doing real good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first question right off the bat, what made you choose Notre Dame?
Um, Really, what made me choose Notre Dame was just the high level football and the high level academics. It's just really as simple as that. There's no other school that can provide the level of academics Notre Dame does, and the high level football that they do as well.
I was about to say, I mean, you're talking about an organization and a school that, I mean, consistently fighting in there in the college football playoffs on a year in, year out basis, and very, very prestigious academic program as well as a historic tradition. I mean, did that also have a little bit of a play of it?
Yeah, it really did. Just the name behind Notre Dame, it holds great weight. So just to say that you came from the University of Notre Dame it's a great feeling.
For certain. And I'll tell you, this recruiting time period, it's been an odd one. I mean, with the coronavirus, I know everything has kind of been shaken up. Now, how did that affect the recruiting cycle there for you? I mean, have you gotten to visit Notre Dame in South Bend yet?
No, I haven't actually been able to go up there yet. Really, when COVID hit, I received the Notre Dame offer in April. So everything was shut down. It's still shut down. Still can't visit until June. But it did change a lot of things. It kind of made me have to research, about the school on my own. Not really be able to go up there and just see for myself. I kind of had to look on the internet, see what I could find, and just really about the school, see what I could find about the school from other people, really talk in depth with the coaches. So it was a really different process.
Now, who led who was spear hunting and spearheading there the recruiting trail of Tyson Ford there at Notre Dame? Who was the main guy who was recruiting you, and what was the pitch? I know obviously it worked, but I mean, like, who was it who had the best connection with there as a coaching staff already?
It was really Coach Mike Elston. He had been recruiting me for the majority of it, but really when Coach Marcus Freeman came in, we really connected. He had just told me that just to look at Notre Dame and just see the name that it holds behind it, and just the high level academics, the high level degree you can get from here, in the high level football, and the great level of coaches they have. They're I really still want to play in the NFL at the end of the day, and so they really have great coaches to be able to just develop defensive linemen there. And he was just saying you can't really get that and academics anywhere else, and so that was just the main thing he was spewing to me.
For certain, I definitely understand that. And again, like, what first thing when you step on campus, you step on the South Bend, what type of personal goals do you have for yourself?
Just be able to come in and just dominate, really just come in and be able to just make a stance there, be able to play my freshman year. I really hope to be able to just work hard enough to where I'll be able to have a chance. That's all I really need, and I can just take that and run with it.
Gotcha. So those are definitely the goals there on the football field. I mean, like, as the academics, I mean, college is a time period where you're going to get a chance to really learn who you are. It's going to be your first time away there from parents in most cases. I mean, it's going to be your first time on your own. I mean, like, what do you expect there through that process? I mean, like, on the academic side, as well as on the community there, with the Notre Dame, with the Fighting Irish, what do you expect there? What do you want to accomplish in that aspect?
Well, it's definitely going to be just a change of culture, really. Not really what I'm used to, but from the academic standpoint, I expect it to be challenging. But I've always been challenged at the schools I've been to. Even the school I'm at now, it's the #1 academic school in Missouri, so it's very challenging. I'm not really unfamiliar with the challenge when it comes to academic level, but just from that aspect, I just expect to just come in and work hard. I just expect to come in and work hard and just really just make an impact as soon as I get there.
Gotcha. And so I guess that kind of stands me in another question I was going to ask you a little later on. I mean, like, have they kind of told you what they expect there from you, what they envision you? I mean, like, not only just short term, immediate impact wise, but what long term they envision there for you there at the Notre Dame for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Well, from a football aspect, they expect me to just come in and work hard, just be able to learn from the seniors and just the people above me. So when it's my time to shine, I can come in there and dominate. They expect me to come in, definitely make an impact. That's what I'm ready to do when I get there.
Gotcha. And I mean, like, I didn't know if they had like a specific thing. I mean, some coaches, they say, hey, we envision you being XYZ by the time you're done. I didn't know if they had a pitch like that for you too or
No,
anything.
no, not really. They kind of just want to just kind of just get me in there first. Get me in there, see the place around, and then maybe when I get there and when I get settled, then they'll tell me.
Gotcha. For certain, I understand that. I know you said things kind of picked up there for you after kind of COVID. You had a chance there that's when you received that offer during that spring break time period. I mean, were there any doubts? Were you ever leaning somewhere else and then it was just something like that swept underneath your feet where you said, that's the point. That's Notre Dame. This is home.
Yeah. There was a time I was leaning towards Oklahoma, actually. That, they really made it sound like everything was great. Really nothing negative, all positives. I was going to come in, I was going to play early. The Jordans, the jerseys, all that. But
it's sexy. It's sexy, man. I'll be honest. It's sexy. Like the Oklahomas. I mean, Notre Dame's got great jerseys though too. The Oklahomas, the Oregons. It's sexy. I get it. I get the appeal.
Yeah, but what I just had to realize, really, when it comes to college, it's not just all about football. It's about going there, getting an education, and that's really the main thing I've been pushing. Really, my whole life, my parents have always pushed academics towards me. And so I always found that important. And so I just thought Notre Dame would better fit me football-wise and academic-wise.
Terrific. That's excellent to hear. I'll tell you, I mean, like when I was young going through the recruiting process, I heard words that never rang truer. If you would go to this school and be a normal student, this is the home. This is the right place there for you. Obviously, when you factor football in, things change a little bit, but always being able to have the school where you're like, what, if I wasn't an athlete, this is the place I wanted to be. That's great. I mean, that's how you found home officially. Mm-hmm. And now, do you have a best friend yet in the recruiting class, the Notre Dame recruiting class there? Do you have anybody that you're good buddies with so far?
I had been talking to there's a guy, he recently committed kind of maybe around the time I did. His name's Nolan. And then I've been talking to the DJ Wesselak. He's from Missouri, another guy we're trying to recruit here.
Okay.
So he's not Notre Dame recruit yet, but we're trying to get him. But me and him, we talk all the time. He lives pretty close to me, about 40 minutes away. And so those are really the two main people that I speak to in my class.
Awesome. And again, like just to interrupt here, but if there's any questions you have here for Tyson or any comments you want to see, just make sure you leave it in the comment section. We'll be sure to go ahead and mention those. And Tyson, what are you looking forward to the most about joining the Notre Dame family? I know you said the academics were always hugely important. Now, what else besides just the academics, the football prestige? You say that it feels like home there. I know you haven't been on campus yet. You haven't had a chance to feel South Bend, but what are you looking forward to most, like the community-wise, to join in?
Just to see kind of what life is like outside, just outside of Missouri, on my own, to see how well I'm able to adapt to just a different change of culture and just ready to see how I really just grow as a man, as a football player and a student.
Excellent. We got a comment here from C. Simmons, 4218, saying, is there a college or NFL player you try to model your game after?
Well, I love watching Chase Young, but I don't really think I resemble him that much. I think I resemble more Myles Garrett a little bit. I try to I'm obviously not as talented as him, but I always try to go out there with the level of aggression he has. He just plays with a different mindset. And so when I go out there, that's really who I try to think about.
Gotcha. Absolutely excellent. And then if you're thinking to yourself here, when did you know that football was it for you? Again, I don't assume you only played football there as a child, but when did you know, hey, you know what, this football thing, this is something I want to pursue seriously. This is something I think I could do there in college, maybe then thereafter and professionally.
It was definitely later than most guys. I did start playing around second, third grade. I always played left tackle, though, all the way up to 8th grade. And so I was never a DN. But then when I got into high school, I actually didn't plan on playing football. I planned on just focusing on basketball and actually going to college for basketball. But then one of my coaches, his name's Coach Derek Miller, he really pushed me, and he was talking to my parents. He was telling me, he was like, I'm way too talented. I'm way too skilled and way too athletic not to play football. I can still play basketball as well, but I have to play football. And so even going into freshman year, I kind of just waited it out. I just learned from the seniors, just because I wasn't really involved in it. Like I said, I was going to play basketball, and then my sophomore year, I kind of made a huge impact. I started for the first time on
Yeah.
both sides, and then I just was just going out there and just playing as hard as I could, really. And then after the Lutheran North game, they're probably the best team in Class 3 here in Missouri. And after the Lutheran North game, I had received an offer from Iowa State.
Yeah.
And then that's really when I decided, maybe this is what I need to focus on.
Maybe this football thing isn't just so bad after all. I'll tell you now. When the first offer came in there with Iowa State, I mean, did you notice that it was like a whole bunch? It just came trickling in thereafter because for most times when young athletes they get that first offer, it's like the floodgates open up and they can't stop. I mean, their phone's ringing every other second. They're like, oh shit, here's an offer from Stanford. Here's an offer from this school. Now, was it like that there for you, or was it kind of like a slow trickle?
At first it was, after my first offer, I didn't receive another offer until probably about 3 months after.
Okay.
And then around that time, after my sophomore season had ended, then around that summer period, that's when I really started to receiving a lot of offers. I received Texas A&M, Arizona State, I received Kansas, and then Notre Dame in April. So all those that came between December till now, really. And then it just kind of just flowed in, and I was okay with it. But I really committed pretty soon because I was ready to get focused on just getting ready for college. So I wanted to get it all out the way, really.
I completely understand. I mean, it's like you're getting sold by a whole bunch of different salesmen saying, hey, why you should choose us. And I mean, when it comes down to the brass tacks, the real important portion is you just focusing on improving your game and being the best athlete and the player that you can. And I guess switching the gears here a little bit, I mean, what part of your game have you been working on the most here this offseason?
Really just working on just my leverage. I'm a pretty tall player, so I can always just tend to stand up when I'm playing. So I've been trying to work on my just pad level, just staying low, working my hand speed, my footwork, just working on everything that makes the defensive end great, really. I've been looking at drills from Robert Mathis, drills from a lot of other trainers. I've been working with Sutton Smith. He was drafted from Pittsburgh Steelers 2 years ago. And I've just been working with a bunch of different people, just trying to learn as much as I can, really, just to become the best player I can.
For certain. And again, like with the recruit analysis I did, and again, if you haven't saw it or haven't seen it, you can go ahead and check it out there on the channel. The explosion and the power you have off the snap of the ball it's unrivaled. I mean, any type of mistake offensive linemen make, it's magnified. I mean, like you can't teach explosion like that. You can't teach power as well as the ability to penetrate the offensive line the way you do it. I mean, like, what do you consider to be your best strength, and is something you're continuing to mold your game off of?
Definitely just the level of aggression I just have coming off the ball. My mindset coming in, I have a mindset that really no one can block me. Like, this person should not be blocking me. This person should not be standing across me. Like, there's no way he should be able to stop me. So I have that mindset just coming in. And really, I think once you have that and once your confidence is high, then you can really do anything from there. It doesn't matter how athletic you are, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess when you're talking about that too, I mean, like, what motivates you? I know you have the confidence, but when you think to yourself, what really does motivate you and pushes you to be the best player you are?
I'm just a competitor, really. I've been playing basketball, AAU basketball all my life. I've been playing football all my life. So really just football really brings out that side of you. Just especially if you're a competitor, you don't want to be beat. You don't want anyone to think they have a chance against you. So that's really what brings it out for me.
For certain. And on the field, I mean, like, I know you say you're a competitor. What type of personality and mentality do you have on the field? I was a guy who, I mean, like, I didn't mind jawing a little bit out there I mean, like, again, offensive, defensive linemen don't do that much shit talking. But I mean, like, on the field, what type of personality do you have?
Really, I don't talk a lot, but there are some times where guys will say something to me first. And so I have to say something back. A lot of times guys get hurt when they get beat. So you kind of have to say something back. But really, I'm just there to take care of business, really. I just get through that game, and then it's on the next one, just trying to win as many games as possible.
And now, is there anything that frustrates you? And again, like, I can tell you get double and sometimes triple teamed on a pretty much consistent basis. Is there anything out there on the field that frustrates the living hell out of you where you're just like, man, oh man, that makes me a little angry?
Really just little things frustrate me. Like when another team, when I know they're purposely running away from me, that really frustrates me. Or when I know um, if I'm going against a guy and then I do a move where I know I should have beat him. I know I could have been back there. Like just one little thing, like one slight mistimed move can change the whole snap, like a whole play. And so that really frustrates me. Like if I just use the wrong move, but that's just something I have to learn from. That's why I've been doing the work I'm doing now, just working on my hand speed, working on becoming faster. So I really don't have to have those regrets.
Gotcha, for certain. And now when you're pass rushing, I
Mhm.
assume, well, let me actually backtrack here a little bit. What is the most favorite thing for you to do on the field? Are you more like, hey, I love to go ahead and split double teams. I love to go ahead and stop the running back. I love the pass rush. What is your favorite? I mean, like in an ideal scenario, snap, start to finish. What do you like and enjoy doing the most out there on the field?
Really, all of it. I just love hitting people. That's just a fact. So really, when it comes to pass rushing, I mean, if I definitely know it's a pass and I definitely know I have a one-on-one, well then I already know it's over. Like it's just that's just really what excites me, just knowing that there's nothing the other person can do to stop me. Even if they bring two people on me, there's nothing they can do. And if they do, I'm gonna come back next play and then beat them that play.
And
But
have
really, just, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said just really just hitting people. Just whenever I see a running back, I just love getting in the backfield, beating the offensive lineman off the ball. That's really my favorite thing to do. My get off, you have to make sure that's perfect because when you can beat offensive lineman off the ball, especially one who's good, then you won.
For certain, again, like you bring the physicality, you bring the hard hitting mentality and the never quit mentality. I mean, like even when you're not getting to the quarterback and you're sacking the quarterback, even just getting in his face and hitting him, you
Mhm.
see it affects quarterbacks long term. You see it throughout your film too. You see guys kind of chicken arm it a little bit. They're kind of a little tentative back there. They got antsy feet. I'll tell you, I mean, like even though it's not always directly resulting there in a sack, you're always still affecting their whatever's going on back there in the offense's continuity. And I guess kind of also switching gears here a little bit. Who is the biggest role model you've had there in your life?
Really just my grandparents and my mom. You know, they've just they've been there for me really all my life, and they've supported me throughout basketball, throughout football, take me on my practices, on my games, on all my training, and so I wouldn't be here without them, definitely. And then all my coaches that have also been there, all the ones that have just gave me opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand that. And again, they already have that introspective sight there that, hey, you know what I mean? Your parent, I mean, like your family has sacrificed a lot there for you. Is something that when I was at your age, I really didn't understand the sacrifices family had made there for me to get to where I was. So the fact that you've got that vision and that hindsight already is great there as a development as a person. I mean, like speaking to you, I mean, like, what is your biggest interest outside of football? I know football's big, obviously, and so is basketball, but what's your biggest interest outside of those two items?
Well, outside of just working out, it'd probably just be just playing the Xbox with my friends, really. I don't really do anything else. If I'm not working out, then I'm really in the house. I don't really go outside the house, really hang out with a bunch of people outside. So I really just like staying inside, doing inside activity.
Now, Xbox, what's the best game? What's your game? What's your game with the guys there and the boys in Xbox Live?
Oh, I definitely play Madden the most. NBA 2K is up there, and then Call of Duty is definitely up there too. But definitely Madden. Madden's number one.
Gotcha. I don't blame you there. And when they bring back NCAA, I'm sure that will be a close there second.
Yeah.
But who is Tyson as a person? You know what I mean? Like again, like the antithesis and the reason here for this segment is to get to know you as an actual individual. And if
Mhm.
you kind of had to say, this is who I am. I mean, who are you as a person rather than just a football player, just a guy who hangs out there with their friends? Who are you as a person there, Tyson?
Oh, I'm just a really charismatic person. I'm ready. Just when it comes to being serious, I can be serious. When that time's over, I can joke around a little bit, but I definitely know when to turn it on and off. And just a guy who's definitely ready to come in and just get to work, really.
You got the blue collar mentality there, and again, like having that where it's like, hey, you can switch it off. I like to have fun, but in the same token, you know when it's time to get serious and when it's time to put the work in. I mean, like what I know you mentioned that schooling and academics were hugely important and vital there for you. Is there any particular field that you're interested in pursuing there at Notre Dame? Again, very, very prestigious academic program. What are you looking to go ahead and continue there?
I am leaning more towards law than medicine, but I'm still kind of undecided as of right now. But yeah, definitely those two are my top two. I wouldn't do anything else.
And what made you interested there in law and in medicine?
Actually, at my school, they had a career day, and there were these two ex-football players from my school, and they came in and talked to us as a class. And he was a business law major, and then he had came in and he was talking about his business that he owned with him managing athletes and just him being an agent, and then also him dealing with the contracts that any like big corporate, like any big sports corporations have to deal with, big franchises such as like I don't know, maybe like their building contracts and things like that. And so I just thought maybe that was something I'd want to get interested in.
Excellent. Yeah, like everybody always has a different reason as to why they originally became interested, or they found their first love when it comes to career choice path. Now, I mean, the high school you go to has quite a few significant, college and NFL alumni there. Most notably, obviously, Ezekiel Elliott. Now, when you talk about the storied alumni there that go to your high school, I mean, like, did that help pave the way for it? Did that kind of help you? Was there anybody that you were able to reach out to kind of say, hey, I'm looking to get here. How do I take those steps?
I mean, really outside of my coaching staff, not really. I never really talked to those guys or anyone that had to do with their success, really. But just really the coaching staff of my school, the ones that coach them, they helped me come a long way. They helped me really become the player and man I am today. So I definitely wouldn't be here without them.
Gotcha. Excellent. And again, I guess where can people find you there on Twitter and everything like that? How do people stay in tune there with what you're doing and what's going on there in your life?
You mean
just like social media wise or anything like that? Is there? I mean, like, how do they find you? I mean, like, and what do they expect there from you on social media? Some people, I mean, like on social media, hey man, they're tweeting all the damn time. I didn't know if you had certain things you like to tweet or like what you like to talk about there.
No, I mean, really, I just people just find me. They can contact my coach. They can look me up on Instagram. It's the same as my Twitter, T2Code7. But I don't really tweet a whole lot. I don't post a lot on Instagram. I really just focus on football stuff. But I'm not really on social media that much.
I understand that completely. I barely find myself on there too. And now, Tyson, I assume you're a leader on the team there for high school. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm more of a leader by example. Yeah.
That was about to be my next question. I was about to say, I'm sure you're a leader in some capacity. I didn't know if you were, a vocal leader or a lead by example type of guy. Gotcha. And when you face adversity on the field, when you have those time periods when you're getting consistently double teamed and triple teamed, I mean, what goes through your mind there when you're facing adversity?
Really just this is what I have to get by to be able to do what I want to do in life. There's really in everything there's adversity, and so sports is the biggest thing to help you kind of learn how to get over those. Just learn not to pout about it, not to get upset, but to just learn what you can do differently to be able to get past that hump the next time. You can use that with anything in life, whether it comes to football, whether it comes to outside world in business or school. So that's just really what I learned.
For certain, absolutely. And now you go to a relatively smaller high school there. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, have you ever received the knock of you're a small town, you go to a small town school, you go to a small school, you're not playing good competition? Have you ever received people saying you're not going to make it because you play against small town people or you play against smaller competition?
No one's really ever said that to me because really there is really good competition here in Missouri. And maybe not the schools that are in my class, but I definitely I get training outside, and I go against all types of people from all different types of districts and classes and conferences. And so I've gone against the best here in Missouri, and they all know that it's not just the competition that gives me the attention that does.
For certain. And again, like I didn't know a lot of times, like for people who do go to smaller schools, doesn't matter where you're located, whether it's in North Carolina, Florida, Texas. Some people who go to those smaller schools and they necessarily don't have a large population around, they get the knock of you're just a small town guy. You're never going to, or like, hey, that's a knock against you. I didn't know if anybody had tried to knock you or anything like that. And again, like I always think that people try to knock people who go to small town schools or like to go to a
Yeah,
small
they definitely do. Yeah, they definitely do.
I mean, like they don't really, they're not able to look at the nuances of the game and to see what you actually bring to the table. So I wasn't sure if anybody had told you that before or anything like that. I always do ask for people who go to a relatively smaller area if they've heard that there about themselves. I mean, usually that adds an extra chip on their shoulder. I mean, like, do you have a chip on your shoulder when you play? And if you do have a chip on your shoulder, what's the reason for it?
Well, I feel like really any player should at any time, no matter how good you are, no matter how good your team is, because there's always something you have to prove to somebody.
Yeah.
Especially as team success. I definitely want to win a state championship and win a district championship while I'm here. I haven't done that yet, and so that's really just the chip I play with on my shoulder every game.
Absolutely. And again, like you say the state championship is a huge goal and an aspiration there. I mean, how's the team looking for next year? And what do you guys, I mean, like you're looking to get to the state championship, you're looking to win. I mean, we're looking there. What sets of goals do you have there besides the state championship here upcoming for your senior season?
Really just make sure that everyone develops, everyone just not as a football player, but also as people, that we just teach people lessons to be able that they can take on through life with them. It's not always just about football, but the lessons you learn through sports are lessons you can carry with you forever. But definitely football wise, it starts with leadership. So I'm going to be a senior next year. Definitely have to make a bigger step when it comes to leadership, and really everyone else will follow you from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're shifting here a little bit to the goals that you have there at Notre Dame. From start to finish, in an ideal scenario, what type of goals do you have for yourself and as well as for the team there at Notre Dame when you join up here?
Just really to impact their program as much as I can. I definitely want to be able to go there and win a national championship. And I know Coach Marcus Freeman, the defensive coordinator, he definitely wants to go up there and do that too. And so I'm going to be there to help him do whatever he wants to do there.
Absolutely. I 100% understand that. It's a great expectation to have there for yourself. And again, you always shoot there for the top of the pedestal. I understand that. And at the end of games, I mean, what thought do you want the opposing offenses to have from you?
Well, I want them to just know that, they have to game plan for me. They have to study me. They have to do everything they can to be able to stop me, because you can't come in unprepared. I don't even come in unprepared when I'm playing people I don't even know their names. So I'm always prepared when it comes to who I'm playing. So I really expect them to be prepared when it comes to playing me and my team, because we can't be looked over.
When it comes to your preparation there before games, what usually does that entail? I'm sure you're watching film, but what else does it entail? And when you're watching film, what are you looking for specifically?
Yeah, it's definitely more than just watching film. You kind of have to study it, look at who you're going to be going against. So usually I'm going against the right tackle. So when it comes to pass rushing, I try to look for plays where they're pass blocking and see kind of their tendencies on like where they shoot their hands on a pass block. Is it low or is it high? And how far is their kick step or whatever. And then really I can just figure out what moves to do best just based on really their technique, because technique is everything, and there's always a move to beat anyone's technique.
And now when you're out there in the field, you talk about the game planning, you talk about the study you do there in the film as well as what you do on and off the field. I mean, like when you're actually playing and you're in one of those pass pro situations or you're on a pass rushing situation, what is going through your mind before the snap of the ball? Are you a guy who's trying to plan everything out in your head where you say, I'm looking to do this. This is my number one move. Here's number two. Hey, if he oversets me, this is immediately what I'm looking for. Or are you a guy who's looking to naturally react to what the offensive lineman gives you?
Yeah, I'm definitely a read and react type of guy. But usually when it comes to the start of a game, I like to feel out the tackle, kind of see what he does. Like, if I speed rush him, see what he does. If I power rush him, see if I can use finesse moves on him to beat him, and just really just feel him out and see where his weaknesses are. And then I can just attack that the rest of the game.
And now in the pass rush situations and scenarios, what's your go-to move?
Definitely it's definitely the stab, club, and rip. That's really my go-to move on the outside. Now, when it comes to the inside, usually I'll just try to shuck him once, and then maybe pull him towards me, or I'll fake to the outside and do a rip inside. But I really do a lot of like jab step fakes with my speed, and I can just use my speed to my advantage to just beat slower offensive tackles right now.
I was about to say, again, you've got one of those rare mixes of the speed and the power off the snap of the ball. And when you get those inside hands, you get the punch there on the offensive lineman, you're able to kind of jolt them off their track. And then you could see, boom, disengage, active and violent hands to get pressure in the quarterback's face. The craziest thing about it here, Tyson, is, again, your junior film was only looking at, was it 5 or 6 games? It was only a handful of games.
Yeah,
I went back 5 games. I mean, I went back, I watched the sophomore highlights. Holy crap, man. We talk about the explosion off the snap of the ball. We talk about the violence. Man, oh, man. I really would have been interested to see, and I cannot wait to see what you've got coming forward here this senior year, because it's unfortunate. I mean, only 5 games. The highlights are still unreal, but only 5 games there, Tyson. I'm looking forward here to the senior season. I'll be quite frank.
Yeah, I definitely am too.
And I mean, like, when you're practicing, what's your least favorite drill to do? For me, I was an offensive lineman. I hated pass pro. I feel like it was always designed there for the defensive lineman. I hated having to go in one-on-one situations. What is your least favorite drill in practice?
Least favorite drill. So my team practices are a little different. We usually have like a offensive setting and then a defensive setting, and then we'll kind of have individual groups, and then we'll come together and then work on team stuff. Mm-hmm. So really my least favorite part is definitely that individual section where like we're just working with the defensive players and we're working on technique and all. That's definitely my least favorite because, I like hitting people. So I like getting the action with my teammates and just getting better.
Yeah, individuals, I'm going to tell you, my friend, you're going to see plenty more Andy drills here coming up your way there in college and everything like that. I wasn't sure if there was a specific drill you guys do in individual. You're like, man, oh, man, I cannot I hate this type of drill. I mean, like, hey, I know like we used to start off as like, hey, we'll start off on the sled for a good solid 5 minutes to warm the legs up. I was like, holy shit. There's always certain ones where I was like, man, oh, man, I hated days like this in practice because I could tell, oh, we've got 2 hours worth of individual. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we actually have this one circuit. We call it the tackling circuit. And it usually takes about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we just go around in different stations and we do like different tackling drills. So that's always usually my least favorite.
Who have you learned the most from there? I know you say you model your game. You've always wanted to be like a Chase Young. You model your game after players like that. Who have you learned the most from football from, and have modeled kind of your game thereafter a little bit too?
You talking about at my school?
I'm talking about just in football in general. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I assume, like, I'm sure you have a certain coach or a certain player. You're like, this player, even if it was a senior when you were a freshman, this player right here inspired me. They taught me, they did X, Y, Z really well, and that's what set me on my path.
So really, my sophomore season, we had a senior. His name was Carlos Hillman, and he really kind of made me. I don't want to say made me the player I am today, but he definitely had a huge part, and just like how aggressive I came, like when it came to football, like just how I approached the game of football. He always told me just that I was the biggest guy out here, and there's nobody out here that can do anything with me. And he was a senior when I was a sophomore. He was the other defensive end. And so he just always told me, just go out there and dominate, never let anyone beat me, no matter if they're a senior, no matter if they're a junior, even if I was a freshman or a sophomore. Just always go out there with the mentality that you're better than them. And then if you have that, then most likely you're going to beat them.
And now, when you were a freshman and when you were a sophomore, did you ever have that? Again, like when I was young, I didn't play a lot of high school football. I played only 1 year. And when I went to college and like when I started as a freshman, I always had that angst where I was like, oh, man, I'm a freshman, kind of weak. I'm not as big and as strong as some of these other guys, these seniors that I'm like, holy shit, I'm weighing 290 pounds as a tackle. I'm facing off against a defensive end at that size. Now, when you were there as a freshman and a sophomore, did you ever have those time periods and those feelings like, oh, man, this guy might be a little bit more mature, might be a little stronger than me. I'm kind of worried. He's a senior. He's an all-conference. He's an all-state guy. Did you ever have a time period like that for yourself?
Actually, I didn't really have a time period where I was scared of a senior, but when I was a freshman, I definitely challenged my seniors, and then they definitely put me in their place. I actually remember my first practice. We do this drill. I I can't even remember the name. But yeah, I'm blanking on the name right now. But we have we have two offensive linemen, and then we have one defensive player, and then we have a running back, and then you try to just get through the offensive lineman, try to go tackle the running back in a circle.
Yeah.
And, I remember when I was a freshman, there was a senior there. It was actually Carlos's brother. His name was Chuck Hillman, and he, I was talking a lot of stuff. I was saying, you're not gonna be able to block me and all this. And he had actually drove me all the way back and then pancaked me. So that really just opened my eyes and just made me try to learn from the seniors and not just always talk to them.
I've always believed that football is the most humbling sport because, just like that, you say you can get pancaked, you can get the bear, and then the next play you can be on top of the world, on top of the mountain, where you just blow right through a double team and you go ahead and get a running back in the backfield. I'll tell you, it's always the most humbling, in my opinion, it's always the most humbling sport. You seem like a very humble young man. You seem very well spoken as well. What do you attribute there to, the personality that you have?
Mm-hmm. Really just really the schools that I've been in all my life. I've always been in great schools. My mom always put me in great schools, and she always just taught me to be respectful to everybody. Just treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And so really she has a big part of just my personality, just who I am, just the reason why, I'm so respectful to people, and the reason why, I guess you could say I'm humble. Just don't go out there.
I will make you have to say it. I will tell you that you're humble. I spoke to you beforehand. You don't have to say that you're humble. I will tell you, for everybody out here who's listening and watching there and post, that Tyson is a humble young man. So you don't have to feel like you got to say it yourself. I'll say it there for you.
Yeah. But she's just the reason, just always go out there with a mentality that, you're not necessarily better than somebody. You never want to go out there with a big ego. You always want to go out there to listen and learn and see how you can get better from all aspects in life, not just football, but in life.
For certain. And again, you seem like you're grounded, you're level, you understand that, hey, it's more than just football. It's more than just, what happens on and off there, what just happens on the field. I do want to get back to one more question, football related though, Tyson. Game 1, freshman year there in Notre Dame. What do you want to have accomplished? I know you say you want to make an impact,
mm-hmm.
But in an ideal scenario, what does that look like there for you? I know you want to say you want to challenge, challenge for reps, you want to challenge there for time on the field. What does it look like though for you in an ideal scenario?
Well, if I do get the opportunity to play my freshman year, I would like to go out there and have a few sacks, maybe 1 or 2 sacks in one game, maybe a few tackle for losses. But I just want to be able to just make sure that I'm doing my responsibility on the field. Everything I did out there, I know it was right. Even if I didn't make an impact on the stat sheet, everything I did was right.
I'll tell you, that's you see, for defensive ends, sometimes they have that mindset. Sometimes they don't. They'll abandon assignment because they're like, oh shit, this is a juicy sack coming up right here, and they'll make a mistake because they're not sticking with their assignment, and it costs the defense. To have that to where, hey, I'm more of an assignment-driven type of guy. That is always big and important there, Tyson. What else there do you have to say there, Tyson? I want to kind of give you a chance to speak. If you wanted anybody there, the Notre Dame community of fans of Notre Dame football, the Fighting Irish, to know here before we kind of part ways.
Really, I just want them to know that I'm just ready to come up there and make an impact, get to work. I'm definitely a Notre Dame man, and I'm loyal to them, and I'm going to do everything I can to bring a national championship to that city.
Excellent, man. I'll tell you, it's going to be a tough one. I tell you, there are a lot of good teams out there, but Notre Dame's building something special there. Thoughts? We didn't even talk about it. Thoughts there on Brian Kelly there, and again, you talk about another coach who's got the pedigree, who's got plenty of experience and has been very successful there in Notre Dame. What's initial thoughts there on Brian Kelly? Again, he's another coach that's unbelievable head coach. What are your thoughts there on Brian Kelly so far?
He's a great man. I've talked to him a few times. He definitely knows what he's talking about. He's a great offensive coach. He just he knows how to motivate his players, know how to get the best out of them. And he has a great coaching staff around him that just kind of reflects his personality and his standards on us. And so that's really it.
Excellent, Tyson. I'll tell you, I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate you getting to learn a little bit more about you. Again, I'm looking forward here to the senior season. I cannot wait to see what an entire full season looks like worth of game film there for you, and kind of what I know you said you're working. And again, you talked to me about this off earlier on before we had joined here to the live stream. You said you're working on staying lower there. You're working on the leverage. You're working on that hand placement there as well there on initial punch. And I'm looking to see how that reverberates there into your game, because I'll tell you, those are two big portions where you go ahead and get those down, young man. I'll tell you, you're going to be hard to stop. I don't care what level you're going to be at. You're going to be hard to stop there in high school, college, and then thereafter. But thank you so much, Tyson, for joining me and getting to speak a little bit about who you are as a person, so we get to dive in and know a little bit about you as a young person, as a young man.
No, well, I definitely thank you for having me. I had fun. I had a good time.
All right, I appreciate it here, Tyson.